Hello fellow humans and welcome to the Madhouse. I'm Josh and this is my BookTubeathon 2016 wrap up. Please forgive my appearance, I'm in need of a shave and this hasn't been ironed, but I'm very lazy so I haven't. I am a terrible person. I just have to live with it really. As for BookTubeathon itself, it's been a fun one. I didn't upload anywhere near as many videos as I'd hoped. I filmed several, but there were a few issues at the second half of the week that it didn't happen, and sorry. I could still release them now, but it would be a bit weird. I'm not sure why. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the books. The first book I finished during BookTubeathon was New Guard by Robert Muchamore, and this is confirmed to be the final Cherub book, and it was a very fitting finale. The fact we got to see all of the old familiar faces again, at least in mention if not in person, and the mission it was on was far grander than any they'd undertaken before, more similar to James Bond but still far more within the realms of plausibility than any James Bond book, so good in that sense. I wasn't too sure about it at first because Cherub is mostly aimed at teenage boys, and I'm not a teenage boy anymore. I mean, I was never the typical teenage boy. I was never one to talk about tits. I'm still not going to talk about them now. Regardless of my teenage boy status being long gone, well, I say long, I'm only 20, but gender's a funny thing anyway, let's not get into that now. It did seem a bit immature at first, but it grew on me. And I loved it. Perhaps it was just because it had been so long since I read the rest of the Cherub books, and believe me, I will be going on that shelf and grabbing some of them later, my old favourites. I won't read all of them, but things like Divine Madness, The General, Brigand's MC, I'll pick them up and I'll enjoy them immensely, I feel, because I'm now very much in the mood for it, and it could be amazing. To see that Cherub has been set up as though it would continue into the future, and where Muchamore could continue, was a delight. So I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. The second book is How to Build a Girl by Katni Moran, which I was very much enjoying, but I didn't finish. Not because I didn't want to, but because I put it down and I now have no idea where it is. Bloody annoying really. I really wish I could find it because it was excellent so far. It was funny, a little bit crude at times, but I can understand why they did that because Moran wants to normalise the idea of female sexuality. The fact that girls can be just as interested in sex as boys, and to make it not weird for women to talk about masturbation as much as boys do. I mean, to be honest, I really wish boys didn't, because it can be really irritating. It's just, I don't need to know what you do in your private time in your underwear. Go away! Leave me out of it! But I can understand why that would be important for people who have never had the opportunity to talk like that. Does that make any sense? It was also good because it's so rare to read a book that has any working class stories within it. Now, I'm not going to go on about class wars right now because I don't actually believe they're a thing, though there are certainly clashes between classes. My goodness, that's a bit of a difficult thing to say. Classes. But How to Build a Girl, when I finished it, I'll do a proper review of it. My plan for the book and its film adaptation was The King's Speech, but I ended up not finishing it, not because I wasn't enjoying it, and not because I lost it. It's right here, and I do plan to finish it off at some point anyway, but I can't find my copy of the film. Instead, I picked up a different book. Can you guess what author it might possibly be by? Of course you can. It's Going Postal by Sir Terry Pratchett, and the film is actually excellent. I've watched it several times. It's strictly speaking not a film, it's a 2-part television adaptation for Sky One, and it was marvellous. Claire Foy was divine as Adora Dayhart, and Charles Dance's performance as Lord Vetinari was flawless, but for one tiny aspect. Lord Vetinari has raven hair, people mistake him for a vampire, and Charles Dance is ginger. But it was faithfully adapted, wonderfully shot, the music was fantastic. In fact, I've decided the backing track that you're hearing now is going to be from Going Postal because it's excellent. I don't know if I have the license for that. I definitely don't have the license for that, in fact, but hopefully it won't be pulled. Of course, rate Going Postal, both film and book, at 5 out of 5 stars because A, I'm in love with the author slightly, a lot. I have an obsession. And B, it's also just an excellent book in its own right. Read it, love it. the introduction of an industrial revolution to a fantasy world, and it's marvellous. I did read some more Terry Pratchett, and I have to admit, I am not sorry in the slightest. It was Dragons at Crumbling Castle, and oh, this was a delight. I've read bits and pieces of it before, but never just sat down and read it from cover to cover, because it's children's stories. You don't have to do that. You can just find one you want and go through. And they were all very, very funny and very, very clever. My favourite has to be The Tales of the Carpet People, because it later became the novel The Carpet People, and that's one that I absolutely love, because there's so many concepts that you can later see explored in Discworld and in the Long Cosmos. Well, not Long Cosmos, Long Earth rather. And it's wonderful. So, of course, having read that short story, I was in the mood. So I also read The Carpet People. I would rate this at 5 out of 5 stars, and The Carpet People as 4 out of 5 stars, because while excellent and explores the themes that I mentioned, it was his very first novel. It was written at age 17, and while I have the edition where it was edited and worked upon in 1994 when he was older and far better at writing, it still has traces of that 17-year-old self in there, and he's not so well developed as some of his books could be. Well, are. I'm afraid I got absolutely no further with Magnus Jason the Sword of Summer, just too busy, but I did manage to finish Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I have very mixed feelings about Ready Player One, because on the one hand it has very believable characters, and as an extension of current trends into a dystopian setting, it works. Environmentally we're heading in that direction, technologically we're heading into that direction, and politically we might be heading that way as well. But on the other, it did just seem to be someone born in the 80s having a massive bout of nostalgia and not really doing much else. It was just, oh, by the way, here's are all the things from the 80s that I love that we don't do anymore. And just, oh, well, I wasn't born in the 80s, I was born in the 90s, and let's face it, I was 3 when they ended, so I don't really have much to go on. I like a lot of the films, I like some of the music, and I've played some of the games, but most of this stuff is completely beyond me. Some stuff is rightfully forgotten, because it just wasn't good. Because of the other thing, I will give this maybe 3.5 stars, because it was still fun, and I believe Armada is the sequel, and if I see a copy of it around, I will probably read it all the same. I won't go out of my way to look for it, but if I find it, I will pick it up. Seems like a fair compromise to me. And that's it. If my maths is correct, and I really doubt it is because I've been struggling to concentrate lately, I have finished 5 books and I started 3 more. So that's pretty good. It wasn't the full 7 books that I had hoped to do, but it was certainly not bad. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please let me know. And of course, like, share, subscribe, all of those things. If you did in fact do the BookTubeathon, or if you've read any of these, please let me know how it went for you, or give me your thoughts on the books, but it's excellent. And because I'm stone broke, I have to ask this: if you're interested in buying any of these books, would you please consider using my Book Depository affiliate link? I would receive a small amount of commission, and this would be so helpful in helping me to save up to go to Germany next year. Because guess what, I'm resitting the year. Sorry, should have done something maybe a bit more climactic for that. A big "this is an update for my life" video, but I don't fancy it right now. I'll just get on with it. Oh, and by the way, the next video you'll be getting is still not the Ilvermorny appropriations video, which I do plan to do, although to be honest I've kind of lost feeling for it now. Maybe later. Where was I with this? Oh yes, the next video will be the Avatar: The Last Airbender book tag, because I just finished the entire Last Airbender and I'm about to start on The Legend of Korra, and I adored it. I forgot just how much I loved it, and it's excellent, so I'm going to do it. Until next time then, tatty bye dearies.